There we go. Ain't No Half Step with Marcus J is live. We in the building, about to get into a fabulous show, as we do every single week. We got two, not one, but two special guests in the room that's going to lead our segments. Those are the two special guests, but the special guests with the extra specials, we'll introduce them as we get through the show. We got Dating Pool Diva and our clairvoyant medium. We're going to bring you the flagship show of Legacy Internet Radio. You are listening to Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J, and we are live right now.
It's about that time to get
Button your lip, open your ears, strap on your thinking cap. Socially conscious talk that's entertaining with a dash of humor and the top sports stories of the week. It's time for Ain't No Half Steppin' with Marcus J.
Sellers has Jordan. Jordan with 2 seconds to go. Puts it up and scores at the buzzer. Michael Jordan has won it for Chicago. Manning lobs it. Burris alone. Touchdown, New York.
Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. Down goes Frazier. He hits one deep to right center. That ball is out of here. The Yankees win the pennant.
If they lying,
they must be half stepping.
Ain't No Half Step with Marcus J is live from the den of Legacy Internet Radio. Thank y'all for rocking with us tonight. We appreciate those folks listening to us live on TuneIn. We're thanking those folks that are listening to us live on the Legacy Internet Radio live stream. That's right, y'all. We live streaming from Legacy Internet Radio, the home website. Thanking those folks on Streamer. Appreciating those folks that are listening to the replays right now on YouTube as well as on iTunes. Because y'all rock with us, we're going to roll with y'all every single week, Monday nights, 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We appreciate you. We thanking those folks that have called in, 804-402-2893, to be a part of the discussion. You know, every week I come in here and I tell y'all how happy and I tell y'all how proud I am to bring y'all the flagship show of Legacy Internet Radio. And some shows I'm a little bit more excited than others. Tonight is one of those nights because I look across the room and I look across the table and I see a full cast of characters and a lot of people who are going to bring just some really, really cool things to you guys tonight, as well as to me and the co-host who you just heard a minute ago and who you'll hear again from in just a moment. But what I will do is go around the room and get everybody. And there's my phone ringing. Everybody's trying to be part of the flagship show tonight. And give me a minute. I'm going to bring up the live stream on Facebook as well in a minute. But anyway, as we do every single week at this part of the show, I always make sure that I bring in the particulars. And since my phone is ringing, I usually tell everybody, put your phones on vibrate before we get to that point. I guess I should take my own advice. But having said all of that, I'll go around the room and introduce folks. Of course, first person I'm going to introduce is one of the featured guests for later on in the show. In the 8 o'clock hour, my sister and yours, our clairvoyant medium, our sister Shayna Latia is up in this joint. What's up, sis?
Hello, Marcus.
How you doing?
I'm good.
You doing all right?
I'm doing great.
Good, man. It's good to see you.
It's a good day.
I'm looking forward to having a fabulous show with you and the whole crew tonight. And you want to take the mic around the room, make sure that your whole crew is introduced?
Oh, well, yes, absolutely. This is the Light Workers segment, and I'm so thankfully and wonderfully grateful to have these wonderful people who come almost every month with us. First, we have Jane.
Hello. Yes, I dropped my phone. Hello, good evening, everybody. How are you?
Good, Jane. What's going on new with you?
Just been working a lot, but everything's good. Life is good. It's the summertime now, so I'm excited to be here. Thank you for having me back, Marcus.
We love Jane. We're always going to have her. Next comes to Ashley.
Hello, how are you doing?
Great.
Yes, I'm glad to be here.
So happy to see you again, as every day I see you at work.
Yes. I love you, girl.
I love you too. Next would be Diana, Lady Diana.
Yes,
Right.
I'm Lady Diana.
How have you been doing?
I'm doing quite well. I am right now working at an Anthony's Pizza, my home childhood restaurant.
Oh, wow.
In Mechanicsville, right there on Mechanicsville Turnpike in Henrico Plaza.
That is
and
great.
I'm loving it. It's a great job to be in a mom and pop place.
Oh,
So
wow.
I'm doing quite well.
We're going to come visit you.
Yes, I was going to say I love pizza.
Oh, it's the best pizza in Richmond.
Oh, my goodness. I can't wait. And last but not least, this is my brother. He is so amazing. Medium, fire white, fire healer, Stephen Williams. I'm so excited to have you on tonight. How are you?
I'm doing well, sister. And as we kind of mentioned a little earlier.
Lucia. Oh my goodness.
It's okay.
I think I owe him like $100 now because I keep calling him Stephen. It's a reason why I keep calling you, and I don't know it yet, but we'll figure it out later. I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me back. It's an honor to be back, and I appreciate all the good work that you do, that Marcus, as well, all of you guys do. It's a pleasure to be able to join you once again, so thank you.
So excited for you and what you're going to teach us tonight. I can't wait to do the exercise. I'm excited.
Ain't no half step on Marcus J. Live from the Den, Legacy Internet Radio. For those folks who are checking us out right now on Facebook Live, shout out to you. We are just getting you up and live right now so you can see the whole crew that we have here in the building. Of course, our featured guest in our first segment tonight. You hear her every single fourth Monday of the month. She's my sister and I love her. She's the dating pool diva, Arthur Charisma. What's up, sis?
Hey, how are you?
I'm doing fabulous. It's good to see you. It's good to
to
have
see
you
you
back in
too.
your home at Legacy Internet Radio. What you got going on?
Well, we're going to start our Diva Diaries. Do you have my music queued up?
You see me working, right? And you're going to put me right on the spot. You're going to put me right on the spot.
I need my
All
music
right, well, you get
to
your music
get
in a moment.
started, you know.
See, when you call me out on the air, then
My
I get to call
spiritual
you
people
out.
understand why I
see
need
how you
my
do?
music.
Everybody in the room.
Certain song.
Everybody in the room saw
to
me
get
working.
you to it.
Everybody.
I'm pretty sure Lucia understands
Everybody
that.
in the
He's a
room
musician.
saw me working.
Puts me in a vibe.
Except
you
for
know,
her.
so.
She had to be the only one.
And have a dance.
And then we put the music on so that she can do her little awkward dance. Go ahead and do your little thing.
I can't even hear it. Oh, I can hear it a little bit.
You can hear it? You hear your music? Yeah. You hear me? See? There you go. And of course, the people on Facebook Live,
all right,
they get to see everything that goes on. They get to see everything that goes on. Dating Pool Diva, your music is playing.
All right.
What you got?
Okay. I have some questions from the Dating Pool blog book, the first one. And this one relates to the dating scene. Okay? So I want you guys to listen up to the topic and the questions that follow up. The dating scene of today has shown a few significant shifts in recent years. I've noticed that women are taking more of an aggressive role in pursuing a mate and vice versa.
Amen.
Amen? Is this a good thing is the first question. And the second one is, if it's not, what can be done to change the shift back to the days of old when men were the aggressors / pursuers? Okay, who would like to start with this one? Want to start with the ladies or gentlemen? Let's see. Lucia, you want to get in on that?
Okay, I'll give it a go. All right. That is definitely something that I can agree with, and I do see that very prevalently so in the way the dating scene is kind of going right now in America, at least. And women are stepping forward, I guess, and being a little bit more assertive and I guess you said aggressive as well, in getting things rolling and starting things off as far as dating goes. You know, personally, me, I like to see, women kind of stepping forward and going after things that they want and initiating things as well. It's kind of inspiring, and I'm definitely with it. Just don't beat me up. No, I'm just joking. I'm completely with it. And it's a beautiful thing. And so.
Okay, I respect your opinion there. I don't agree with it, but I do respect it. Okay. All right, Shayna looks like she has something to say
well,
there.
I can agree with Steven in a certain sense because I am an aggressor. I'm very aggressive. Like, if I want it, I'm going to get it.
Okay.
And I always do.
She does.
You get what you want. Okay, all right. I'm sorry, I forgot
My
your
name's
name.
Ashley.
Ashley.
Mm-hmm.
Ashley with a heart? With a heart? You did like
yes,
a
with
heart?
the heart.
Okay.
I'm working on my heart chakra.
Okay.
Honestly, I don't really think that this is anything to agree or disagree with personally. I think it is a true statement.
Right.
And should it go back to days of old? I think that it really is a situation where like will attract like. So if you are an aggressive woman, you will attract a less aggressive gentleman.
Okay.
Personally, I do not like going after men. And I hate to say, but it's true. I don't think I have to. So maybe I just haven't been trained in those skills of how to pick up guys.
Right.
But I don't want to do. They come to me, so it's more of a selection. Mm-hmm. But I don't. That's just not even how I was raised. But I do know some other women who did go after their men, and they are in great or seemingly really fantastic relationships. So, I mean, I'm happy that people are able to do what they feel is best now, right, without feeling like they're going to get some sort of rebuttal, or without the man who's less aggressive. People saying, "Oh, you are a wimp because you won't go talk to her," or the woman that's too aggressive saying, "Oh, you are a hussy because you jumping out so fast." So I'm glad that it's not so negative on both sides, but
Okay. Jane?
I have a strong opinion on this.
Okay, what is your strong opinion?
I truly think it has to do with women becoming more empowered, more self-assured, self-confidence. I have found the older I get, the more, and I don't look at it as being aggressive. I just look at it me being self-assured, knowing what I want, knowing who I want to be with, and not being afraid to put myself out there. Not being afraid of rejection, not being afraid of getting hurt, because a lot of people, I think, avoid situations like that because they're afraid of it. Because as you get older, I think the one thing I realize is you're not going to live forever. And I think by holding back because some of societal restrictions they may put upon you of the way you were raised in a very conservative way, or just the old-fashioned ways of doing things, I think you might miss out on something very special that has crossed your path.
Okay, I understand.
So that's the way I look at it. I don't look at it as a male versus female thing. I just look at it as equals, and that, if I meet someone I like and I'm being intuitive, it helps a lot, because if you're attracted to somebody, if you feel a connection, and I think you would be doing yourself and that person a disservice by not following through.
Okay, all right.
Nothing else?
Okay. SY, you have something to say over there?
No, SY doesn't even know the question.
Okay, let me reread it for you.
I was in the room.
Okay, you ready? Mm-hmm. The dating scene of today has shown a few significant shifts in recent years. I've noticed that women are taking more of an aggressive role in pursuing a mate, and vice versa. Is this a good thing is the first question. And the second is, if not, what can be done to change this shift back to the days of old when men were aggressors/pursuers?
I don't know that I've noticed that women are more aggressive. I can say I've noticed that we're not being as selective as we should.
Amen.
Okay. That's interesting. Okay.
Personally, I've learned that the hard way. So at this point,
let's just be real. Me too. Okay.
Amen.
And I don't think it necessarily has to go back to days when men were the aggressors or the hunters or whatever we want to call them. I think it should be 50-50. If you want something, you go for it, and you shouldn't be labeled for it or any of that. So I think just like men can go and do it, women should be able to do it. Of course, there are those little stigmatisms that go with it and all that crap, but you know, I don't pay that any mind. If it's something that I really feel like doing, then I'll go ahead and I'll make that move. But if I don't, then I surely won't, and I'll let you know not to.
Okay.
I think she made a really good point.
Well, the first question was, is it a good thing the way it is now? And the second was, if not, would you shift it back? So she pretty much said her opinion on that. Marcus J?
You know, I think a lot of times what we don't do is acknowledge the changing of how we are socially. And we are very selective about the things that we want to keep traditional versus other things. Personally, I have no problem with a woman who sees what she wants and makes her presence known. If she's dealing with a real man, then the real man will see that she's making her presence known, and he will respond accordingly. She shouldn't get in her feelings if he's not interested, and she shouldn't get in her feelings if he doesn't catch her cues. She should do better of putting her cues out. If she's the type of woman who is aggressive, then she should go up to him and be like, look here, bruh, I'm trying to deal with you. What's up? Maybe not quite that aggressively, but you understand what I'm trying to say. And so I think oftentimes when we get so caught up in the old school way of thought with chivalry and things of that sort, chivalry is important, and there's certain ways that a man should treat a woman. I get all of that. But we're talking about 2016. We're not talking about 1816. And so if you want to be an independent woman who goes to work and don't need a man, then you can't act like you need a man when it's time to have a man. Let me finish.
Amen.
Let me finish. You can't act like that then. In 1816, you didn't go to work. In 1816, you stayed home all day, and it was his job to do everything. In 2016, you go to work. In 2016, you want the rights, and you deserve them. I'm not saying that you don't. But what I'm saying is the times are different. And so if we're going to acknowledge that the times are different in some ways, then we can't ignore them in others.
Okay.
Who wants to attack me?
No, I don't want to attack. The only thing I would say is in 1816 we was working.
I was working in 1816. I was a man.
Okay.
I mean, I thought we were slaves.
If I could just here,
but outside of the 18, I mean, my history is wrong. When was we free? Wasn't we freed in 64?
1865 was when the Emancipation Proclamation was.
But anyway,
but y'all know that's not where I'm going.
No,
so,
I know. I agree with everything. I was just poking at you. Actually,
I
really do agree with what he's saying, and I agree so much because as millennials, is the generation that I'm in. Our generation, we work, and if you look at the history of work, our parents, or I should say, our grandparents, were known to have one job their entire life. My parents, they would have maybe two jobs, but in the same industry. And then their children, which is the millennials, we have multiple jobs. We are multiple doing things. So a lot of times men are not really able to focus solely on one woman and study this one woman, because he also has to figure out where is his next paycheck going to come from to pay this bill. I mean, I just feel like the responsibilities are a little bit different, or have to be maintained slightly differently than they were 2 generations before. So and women were doing the same thing. So if you are a young lady and you find a guy who's attractive, it may be okay to throw some cues out at him to say, stop your busy cycle and focus on me. Because I'm here. And then to what Marcus said, if he like you, good. If he don't, fine. But you can't assume that because he's walked past you, it's because he didn't care for you. A lot of times he just didn't see you. And I mean, I see a lot of my brothers who work consistently doing multiple jobs. They have multiple hustles. And, you know, it's not always can I plan an entire date because I got to figure out how I'm going to get this money from over here to pay this over there. It's just, it can be a lot sometimes.
I mean, I think everybody, male and female, are busy. Like,
I agree.
You know, that's, to me, If you want something, you should go after it. And I am a traditional woman. I do believe in a guy taking the first move or whatever. Does it always have to be that way? No. It can be 50-50. But as a woman dating single nowadays, it's frustrating to me that I have to do it all the time. That's where the frustration comes in. And guys are attracted to me. I can tell they are attracted to me. They're doing what females used to do back in the day, winking and doing different little things, walking past you back and forth. But you can't approach me and say, hi, how are you? You know, I would like to get to know you better. You know, if they do, in the rare occasion that they do, it's usually all the way to the left where they're, you know, crass with it. You know what I'm saying? They're talking to you disrespectfully.
You know, the one thing I've noticed is being aggressive, whatever, just outgoing. I have noticed that I attract a very big smorgasbord of type of men. And so you have to be able to filter out the ones that are the players and the ones that are serious. And sometimes, because you are more aggressive and not as reserved, I think, and you guys can let me know, but I think some men perceive that as you being easy or loose. Yeah, and I've gotten that before, and so it kind of, and you just said something and popped in my head. If you go to a bar or whatever, and you're with girlfriends and you're just having a good time, and if a guy's interested in you, they used to buy you drinks.
Right.
Not very often. I mean, they used to like send a drink over to you, or if you're sitting next to them, can I buy you a drink? That never.
But honey, a lot of guys are broke. Okay, they cannot afford it.
Well, that's not.
I'm just being honest. I really don't think men are making the money these days like they used to be making.
They should be in a bar. And
that might be true, but you know, when you working 40 hours and you come home with a check that's less than your bills. I mean, and a lot of times they go to the happy hour. I'm just saying, a lot of men are not making the money like how they were traditionally, how men were making money before. They're just not making it.
Well, they need to get a different job or better skills.
That may be true, but that might be easier said than done.
But I don't want a guy that's broke. I mean, I
Me
don't.
either.
That's right.
Let me say this. I feel like, too, you set the precedence in the beginning. So if you want me to come after you, you know, approach you, buy you the drink, take you out for dinner, get on my knees and propose to you, which disgusts me when I see this on Facebook, then that means that's how it's going to go. The remainder of the relationship. You think he's going to step up and be a man then? Nope. When he hadn't done it the whole relationship? He's going to all of a sudden decide?
He's not about to go.
You know what? We all like.
What does Steven have to
Go
say?
Go ahead, Lucia. I want to hear your opinion.
Lucia. Oh my God.
Okay. I have to say, just from my perspective as a male, and I guess being a millennial, as Ashley mentioned as well, I think a lot of times, I think a lot of times I've noticed, you know, women being more of fulfilling the role that males used to fulfill, because there aren't really males stepping up and doing that any longer. I've noticed that a lot, and I've noticed women really having to be more dynamic in the way they fulfill themselves because less men are doing that. And I've noticed women that have in recent years been finding themselves involved with men that are really more on the feminine side than they are, and I do see that as a little bit difficult, but I think it's a little deeper than that. You know, there's also the idea that you know, of the hyper masculinity of generations past, and males feeling like they have to live up to a certain standard, and when that standard isn't really set and created in an ever-evolving world, it makes it very difficult for males to find themselves in a way that they need to be that is conducive to the benefit of the balance of relationships between men and women.
No,
that was very eloquent.
Very powerful.
I definitely agree with that. Shout out to our sisters checking us out on the Facebook live stream that checked in. Our sister Michelle K is checking in with us, as well as our sister Kaz. SY's baby girl is checking in with us here tonight. You know, I definitely agree with what Steven was I'm sorry, Lucia. I definitely agree with what Lucia is saying with regards to, you know, there being hyper emotional, hyper feminine men, because the truth of the matter is, you know, while many of us are supportive of the LGBT community, supportive in the sense that you get in where you fit in, you can't judge another person based upon how they feel, whether you agree with it or not. That's what I mean when I say support it. You know, the reality is there's some historical, you know, socio-economical reasons for why y'all dealing with some of these dudes and the way they are, and they go back to slavery days. You know, we talk about Willie Lynch and all of that kind of stuff, even though he didn't exist. If you think he existed, you know, read his book and then read how people write in the times when he actually wrote the book, and then you tell me if Willie Lynch really existed. But having said that, you know, a lot of the thought processes are the same. You know, if you're a woman and you watch your husband in 1850 be castrated for being a man, of course you're going to punk your boy and hold him up under your skirt and make it so that he can't be a man. He's not going to show dominance because you don't want him to, because if he does, master's going to castrate him too. And so when you look at that and you build that over a course of generations, you got generations of men who've been babied by their mothers. Babied by their mothers to the point where they don't know how to be men for the women. And so when you go out, you know, historically with that, and then you take it even a step further. You look at the 60s and the 70s. If you had a man in the house and you had public assistance, you wasn't getting public assistance. They made sure that the man wasn't in the house.
Right.
You know what I mean? And so there's systematic things that are in place that keeps men oftentimes from stepping up. And so when you lay that to the backdrop of millennials trying to date, the pool of those men, you got a lot of them who got caught up in the system because they didn't have no father around to teach them how to be men, so they was doing dumb shit in the street. They end up in jail. You got a lot of men who are homosexual for whatever reason. You got a lot of men who realize that the pool of women is so vast, they can have anyone they want, so they ain't got to step up. So, I mean, it's unfair, but I think we have to consider all of those variables when we understand why some of our millennials and some of our Gen X's are still single. Nobody likes to talk about the elephant in the room, but I just pulled on his tusk. So what are we doing?
Absolutely. And with that, Marcus, you know, when there's no real archetype for people to look at, you know, as of now, at this particular point in time, it makes it very difficult for men to find a way to step up. If there's no real archetype to look at and model themselves after, because let's face it, television is not showing any form of, you know, how a man ought to act, you know, or how a man ought to be for themselves in order to fulfill the role of being a man in relationship with a woman.
Well, let me ask you this as another black man. Can you name, just on mainstream television, any relationship that you know of on any prominent and popular show that's on television today, a married or, you know, monogamous relationship between a black man and a black woman?
I can, for one, I don't watch much television, but I'm still up.
Blackish is one, and that's fine. Blackish is one.
Okay.
There's a few others too.
I mean, but see, I got you. But the point I'm making is, what's the most famous show, or what's the shows that we all love to watch right now? No. I'm talking about today. I'm talking about now. I'm talking about today. Everybody loves Empire.
Scandal.
Everybody loves Scandal. You know, and when we look at, you know, Kelly, what's her name, Kerry Washington, and her character, she's oscillating between two white men. And we look at, you know, Empire, the prominent relationship on that show is a gay relationship. And so, again, we have to be honest and talk about the things that we may not want to talk about.
Well, I don't know if race really plays anything. I like white guys.
I understand that, but what I'm talking
I like
about,
all races.
I got you. I got you. But when we talking about the relationship between a man and a woman, and why men aren't stepping up, as a black man, my perspective is coming from a black man's perspective.
Right. If you're not raised by an example, you can't expect him to be an example.
I hear you,
He
and
won't be what you. I'm sorry, honey. Go ahead.
I hear what you're saying, and that is a very valid argument. But I rebuttal with this: as a culture, as American culture, we must stop looking towards television and our music, our media, for our standard of well-being. It is not okay. Television is not a parent. Television is not your pastor. Television is not your teacher. It is not your savior. Nor is the radio. Nor is the ads that you see on TV. And I will use my family. I came from a 2-parent home. Very religious, whether that's right or wrong. My parents are still together. So I don't care what people were doing on a Cosby Show or on Martin or in Living Color. I knew that in this household, these certain things were going on. And to that, I will say that my father served as a father to many people in my community who didn't have fathers. Interestingly enough, all of those men that he was a father to, all are married with children in steadfast relationships. I'm single, well, I'm not married. I'm in a healthy relationship, but none of us can look at the TV and say, that's going to be my parent. As an American culture, I don't care what race you are, we have to stop looking towards outside sources to raise our communities. That's not okay.
And you know how Steppin Marcus J live from the Dan Legacy Internet Radio. We got a call on the live line. Caller, what's your name? What you calling about?
Peace, family. This is your man K-Dub down in Atlanta, GA. What's good, everybody?
What's up?
What's up, brother? You listening to the show? What you want to get in on, bro?
Yes, sir. Hey, I kind of came in about 10 minutes in, but I've gotten the gist of the conversation. And one thing that I did want to point out, and I tried to get it across to you, is that, to be honest, I think that the responsibility falls on it kind of falls on everyone, the community. A number of examples, and y'all are talking about the younger generation. Well, I think that there's a lot of links to it, i.e., there should be parents that basically teach their daughters what to accept and what not to accept, how to, what you should let a young man do, don't do, say, or don't say. And what I see, especially in the city, and there's sometimes even, in the city or what have you, what happens is that the most stupidest things that come out of some of these young cats' mouths, the young chicks like that shit. You walking around, you got a lot of chicks that, a lot of young females, I'm talking about the younger generation, and you got a lot of guys, young guys, of course, pants sagging, so on and so forth, and there are no women, i.e. women of their age or maybe even a little bit older, checking them on it. So they think that, this is the way that it goes. They think that, well, if this particular person has a problem with it, well, this chick down here, she like that, so I'm going to roll with that. And I think the mindset is basically, nobody has checked them at an early age to show them, hey, young fella, this is how you're supposed to wear, this is how you approach a young lady, this is what you do, this is what you don't do. And I think that the standards have been so lax that now it's almost becoming a hard job in order to get those young cats to, speak to a female in a certain way, to do certain things, to have, to know how to go out on a date with a young lady, so on and so forth. So I would say the responsibility falls on the young man, the young woman, the parents, and a lot of the older generation that may be around them. Marcus, you and I know that we've had people on our blocks that pulled us to the side and told you, what you should do, what you shouldn't do in regards to dealing with a female. There's people, I remember at a time, you couldn't be walking around cursing out loud on the block. Now, all you got to do is stand in front of your crib and just watch the kids go up and down, and they wailing. So I just go back to saying the responsibility, I think, of training a lot of young cats falls on everyone. We all are at fault because of the way that it is right now.
No, I definitely
Absolutely.
agree. I 100% agree with that. It's a breakdown of the communities, and I think, Dub, you and I have had this conversation many times. A lot of times it's the fact that there's no structure in the household where you can actually have a male and a female who can teach the male and the female youth how to relate to their peers. For example, just because you are the opposite sex parent doesn't mean that you aren't necessary. I got a daughter, so it's my job to teach her how to be a young lady and how to relate to men. So mother's job to teach her how to be a woman. You see what I'm saying? And so if one of those components are missing, then you're going to have a problem and a deficiency. Now, that's not to say that the child can't grow up and have a productive and great life, but if one of those pieces are missing, there's going to be a challenge that shouldn't be a challenge. And I really honestly think that a lot of that plays into the original question that we were asking when we were talking about, should a woman have to be more aggressive? Because just let's take one example. My daughter is being raised by her mother and her father. What if she attracts the attention of a young man who was raised by one or the other? He's going to have a deficiency in dealing with her because he may not have the same kind of upbringing as her. So maybe he doesn't know how to relate to women. Maybe he thinks it's okay to say, yo, what's up, shawty? And she's supposed to respond in a way that he thinks is appropriate. Maybe he's expecting her to roll up on him and say, I like you, can we hang out? As outrageous as that may sound, maybe that's what he thinks.
Yeah. And you know what? Also, I had caught this a little bit earlier, and again, I'm prefacing that I came in a little bit later on, but a lot of times, and this isn't just in the younger generation, this goes all the way up to people our age. And this is not any slight to do with anyone in the studio, so please don't take this the wrong way. What I'm saying to you is that I always hear a lot of conversations from females talking about, I need a guy to have this, he got to have this, or he need to have this, that, and the third. I always want to actually ask, what are you bringing to the table? Because just as much as a female would like a male to come to the table with A, B, C, or D, I would say you would need to match that person. You know what I'm saying? Have something so that y'all can compare. Even if it's just goals. Hey, both of y'all got 10 cents between the both of y'all, but y'all got goals and y'all got a plan to do something. A lot of times what I always hear, what I see is it's always a female stating that, oh, he got to have this, he got to have that. But I venture to ask the individual female, what is it that you have? What is it that you bring to the table? I know this for a fact that sometimes you get what you put out.
Yep. Dub, of course, as you would imagine, you've elicited a little bit of
that's fine.
Yeah. So Jane, you're up first.
Well, I only ask from him what I can give too. So if I want a man that's financially stable, I'm financially stable. I have made more money than most of the men I've ever been with in my life, but that's just the way it is. It's not that I like it. It's just how it's been. Also, I bring, I bring my personality. I believe my beliefs in God. I bring my morals. I bring my not being judgmental of people. So all of that I expect from the man that I'm going to be with. And if he doesn't have it, that's how you kind of figure out who you want to be with and who you don't want to be with.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And that's perfectly fine. And you may be an exception to the rule. Every female in that room may be an exception to the rule. But I would venture to ask again, if we was to canvass, let's say 100 women, I don't know if everyone, and this goes for dudes too. You can't be trying to date a chick that got it going on, and you sitting at the crib playing Xbox all day.
Yeah,
what I'm saying. So it goes both ways. Goes both ways. I'm just referring to the what I hear down here from time to time.
What you got? Ashley wants to jump in.
I do want to talk about this table real quick. Okay, I think I bring a lot to the table, but I want to ask everybody something that irks me is when a man will say, oh, I need a woman that can cook, that can clean. And I'm sitting over here thinking, well, can you chop that wood and put it in my fireplace? Can you change my tire? Can you change my oil? I mean, if we're going to throw it back to the 40s, the 50s, and 60s, you want a woman that can do all of these things. Well, what is it that you can do, too? Because Don't
Well,
tell
let me
me,
ask
oh,
you
I
a
got
question.
AAA.
Ashley, I'm
Hold
glad
on,
that
let me
you
finish
brought that
saying
up.
what I'm saying. Don't say, oh, I got AAA, baby. We can call that and get your time.
Go-
No,
go.
because I got that too, sweetheart. So help me save that coin.
Go back and forth. Dub, go ahead. Make your
Let me
point.
ask you. Let me
Y'all
ask you
go
a
back
question.
and forth.
Ashley,
Y'all go
and
back and forth.
This
here.
could be across the board. I would ask, what is your definition of a man?
No, and that's actually what I'm trying to give to you. What is the definition of this table that you're talking about? I feel like everybody's saying, oh, what can you bring to the table? What can you bring to the table? Everybody's talking about this table. And I'm just sitting here thinking, what is the table? Because what you can bring...
What is the table?
Because what you bring to a table... Because quite frankly, every table is different. Every table is set differently. So you said everybody in this room might be an exception to the rule. I think that's off. I think most women are bringing what they need to the table, and I would venture to say most men are bringing what they need to the table, and I'm using quotations. The problem is we are not meeting the right people. So what I'm bringing to this table might not be what you're trying to eat. So you got to find a sister who is offering you the food that's going to nourish you. But you can't downplay me just because I might prepare something that's very tasty for the next man. So the issue really that's going on today is that we are not getting out of our box. I'm from Washington, D.C. I found who I feel is the love of my life down here in Richmond, Virginia. I didn't think nothing was down here in Richmond, Virginia. I really didn't. Come from D.C., I went to New York, lived over in L.A., everywhere. I done been everywhere, didn't find no man until I came down here to what I thought was Podunk Town. Now I'm here and I'm living here. Richmond is high. I don't mean to disrespect nobody. Richmond is nice,
Right.
but I found him here.
Right.
So I'm saying is
Let
sometimes
me-
you got to get from out of where you are.
So Dub, what she's alluding to, I understand where she's going because I kind of made a similar statement earlier on when I alluded to how in today's world, everybody has to come with what they want. You know what I mean? You can't, especially with, a lot of, modern women with regards to, they go to work every day like we go to work. They tie it every day like we tie it. And so what are you going to do? Now, I do think that if you require, and I'll use the word require confidently, you require a woman that cooks for you and you don't get one, then the one that you got, then unfortunately she may not be the one for you if that's what you require. But if you're a woman that requires, hold up, Dub, you got the next word. Hold on, let me finish this point. But if you're a woman that requires, if you live someplace where you got wood to chop and you require a man to chop the wood and he can't chop the wood, then keep it moving. Dub, pick up.
Well, what I was going to say was that, whoa, I was getting a little feedback. All of that is correct. You know what I'm saying? That's why it's called dating. You know what I'm saying? It's like sifting for gold. You know what I'm saying? You kind of finding that particular person that fits those particular needs that you like. I'm sure all of us have dated someone that looks good, but they corny as hell. Or you might have someone that's not greatly attractive, but you know what? Y'all vibe and y'all like each other. Y'all when y'all hang out, it's all finding what is good for you, what you're willing to tolerate and not tolerate. And if it's a situation where the guy, using him as an example, if the guy is saying, look, I need to have a female that knows how to cook, well, guess what? He needs to go through and date people and find out, okay, you know how to cook. Okay, bet. We got something in common. You're fitting I'm able to check that box off in regards to what it is that I'm looking for in a mate. So again, like I stated, it's about dating. It's finding that particular individual. And when you say, maybe I lost my train of thought, but it was going back to, I believe, what Ashley was saying. And I still would like to, again, ask, what is the definition of a man? Because I do hear a lot of females say, well, you're not a real man, but I would venture to ask, and again, this is not the group, this is not even the conversation, but a lot of times I think that some people have a warped definition of what they think a man's responsibility or what a man is, and as well as a woman and what her responsibility or whatever it may be.
All right, Ashley's going to respond. Stop right there.
Just real quick, I think any woman that says that I need a real man is probably confused and has some mental issues. I mean, just be real. I'm just going to be honest.
Really?
Yes, because a real man does this, a real man does that. No, sorry, baby, that's not true. Because there's a lot of men out here. There's a lot of women. Okay, me personally, I like a man who can chop the wood. But my mama don't want that. My mom don't want my daddy have an axe in her hand at all. He said, you better call the people and have them do it. So For her, that's a real man, a person that can call somebody. For me, it's a person that can go out there and get the axe and chop the wood. So how am I going to say who is a real man and who's not?
I got you.
A man, I'm going to be honest, is somebody is a male that's 18 and over. That's it.
I got you.
Now,
That's
what type of man?
All right.
No, that's a man.
Hold on.
Now, what you like,
Okay.
what you like is good for you. That's for you.
Okay. So basically, Doug, what she's saying is, if he can get it done, then he can get it done. Whether he go out there and do it himself or he pay somebody to do it, as long as the wood gets chopped, the wood gets chopped. Hold the line, Doug, because I want you to respond first to the next and last question in the segment. We're going to move it on. Diva, pick up your head. Dub, hold the line. I'm going to let you respond first before I let you go.